So today we are interviewing Miss Lynn. Welcome, Miss Lynn. We appreciate you taking your time out to meet with me to do the interview today. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to read a disclaimer, and then Lynn, we will get into the interview from there. Does that sound
Yeah,
okay?
that's fine.
All right. So the information provided in this video is for research and educational purposes only and is not intended to serve as personal health care from a licensed doctor. In addition, the lay viewer should beware of misinterpreting any material which is prepared and edited for the people in which strokes have affected. Lynn, does Stroke Life Perspective have your permission to use this interview on YouTube and on its Facebook group page to encourage other people?
Yeah, it's not on my Facebook though, is it?
Sorry.
Sorry, it's not on my Facebook though, is it?
No,
It's on
ma'am. No,
yeah,
ma'am. It's in just the private group
yeah,
page
that's
that we
fine.
have. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Lynn, can you tell us where you're from?
Yeah, I'm from the UK in Bristol.
Okay, very good. Have you always been there? Has that always been where
Yes,
you
always lived
live?
here all my life.
Wow. Okay. Well, so let's talk about the stroke that you had.
Yeah.
Um, where were you at? What
Well,
happened?
I've had 3 strokes.
3.
Yeah, I had one
Wow.
in 2019, which affected my peripheral vision. And I was told then I would not regain it back. But I have full vision in my right side. So I did regain it back with a lot of exercise. And I had another one in November 2020. I had one on the Friday, and I went straight into a third one on the Saturday, which left me with no mobility. Um, and year just over a year on, I got full mobility back, but mine was in my sleep. So I had this sort of really bad pressure in my head. So yeah, the 3 strokes I've had have been through headaches, but really, really cruciating pain.
Sure. Was all 3 of them, did they happen in your sleep? All of
Yeah,
them?
they woke me, but I was all disorientated. I didn't know where I was. I was just lucky that at the time, I had my friends stay here and my daughter, and they knew what was happening.
Yeah, that was my next question. Who was around you when it happened? But it sounds like your daughters and your friends were there to help.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so Lynn, did you go to the hospital each time?
On the first one I had, um, I woke up. I didn't feel too great, and I drove to work. I was driving to work, and I could, as I turned the road, I could not see the right side of me. So I pulled over, and I rung my friend, and she said, "I'll book you in for the opticians," because I thought maybe it was just like this blurry vision I was having. I trouble with this blurry vision, and it was a real strange feeling, like blurry vision, and I'd get really nausea, which I had quite a lot of, and I reported it to the doctor, and they said it was dehydration. But I don't think it was. I think it was TIAs leading up to the stroke. I really do. So anyway, I went straight to the optician sent me to the eye hospital. They sent me straight to my local hospital. Then on my second and third one, yeah, my daughter called the ambulance. I woke up, in the middle of the night, and yeah, it was confirmed stroke.
So, on the other 2 strokes, did any type of medical personnel check you over after
Yeah,
those?
yeah, and I had ED scans, MRI scans, in which confirmed it was strokes.
Oh
So
my. Wow. Okay. What were you ever hospitalized for
yes, I
them?
was in the hospital for a few weeks, because we was going through the pandemic then. So it was at the peak of it. So no visitors. Yeah, it wasn't a very nice experience because you're very much on your own there because I could, there was no family who was allowed to visit. So it wasn't very pleasant.
No, I can imagine. That's kind of what happened with when my husband had his stroke. I don't know if you had an opportunity to watch my testimonial.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And so I actually gave him COVID. I was very sick, gave him COVID, and then he was admitted to the hospital, and then he had his stroke while he was there. But I couldn't go see him because he was in the isolation,
Yeah.
part of the hospital, which is very hard for me. So yeah, that's really tough. And I know so many people that have your same story and even
Really?
our story, to where they had the stroke during the pandemic and were hospitalized or even went through rehabilitation and were not able to see their family. And explain to me what kind of feelings you were dealing with when you were there and nobody could come and see you.
It's a lot of mixed emotions because when I was admitted, I mean, you're not really aware for the first few days. You're just all over the place. But just before my strokes, I was diagnosed with skin cancer. So that was a lot of stress. But yeah, it was just a lot of mixed emotions. If I'm honest, I can't really remember that much about the first few days I was in the hospital. There's just a lot of tests going on. You're going down for scans. I mean, you're very teary. I mean, I can remember just keep crying, and it was just not a nice time. I mean,
Sure.
yeah, you don't, I was worried. Was I going to walk again? Was my arm going to have any movement? There's just so much, what goes on through your mind. You just don't know where you're at. You think about what your life was before. It's just not a nice place to be in.
Sure. What exactly, how did the stroke affect you as a person? So you talked about a little bit about how it affected you physically. So what did that look like?
What do you mean? What did that look
Um,
like?
so like, did it affect, you said your arm and the
Yeah,
leg?
so I
Or,
had no, I lost my left side movement, so I wasn't able
okay,
to move my all left side. So yeah, I wasn't able to get out of bed. I'd lost all mobility. So yeah, and as well, I was put with a lot of elderly people, which I felt quite isolated there as well. Um, so yeah, it's just a really really lonely place to be in at that time. It was just very very lonely. I mean, you don't know what's going on. You've got doctors coming in and out. Your wards. You know, they don't really sort of tell you a lot over here. I don't even know what actually caused my strokes.
that was going to be my next question.
Yeah,
If
I
they
haven't been
ever,
told yet. My stroke the stroke people here, they've sent a letter now to my consultant because I don't know who it is to find out, what actually caused my strokes.
what
Um,
type of strokes did you have? Did they give it a
uh,
name?
it was oh my god, Shimmick, is it pronounced?
Ischemic?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay. So there was no hemorrhaging.
no,
Okay.
no, no.
That's good.
Yeah, they said the clot was at the back of the head, which obviously affected the left side of me. So yeah.
So, what part of your brain do you feel was affected by the stroke? Different parts of our brain control
Yeah.
different parts
Well,
of our body.
yeah. I mean, I didn't get aphasia or apraxia. I never had none of that. Um, it was just the mobility side of it.
Mobility. So
Yeah.
cognitively, you were fine.
Yes, I've had assessment for that. That's all fine. At the moment, they're saying that I have sensory overload.
I could see
Um,
that.
where that I struggle with at the moment. Um, Whereas, yeah, it just seems like so much is going on at the moment. There's, if I'm out in the store or stuff like that, it seems like everything's on a fast pace.
Oh, yes. I could see that. I actually own a special needs business, and I've heard what you're saying. It reminds me of people with autism,
Autism,
honestly.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Mm,
Where it's just a lot. It's
mm,
overload, like you said. And
yeah.
so we take care of a lot of individuals that have autism. And so it's just crazy how the similarities are there.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in the hospital, I mean, they'd done some tests, to find out my memory. And, I always said there was nothing wrong with my memory. Um, yeah, they've done loads and loads of tests there, which all came back fine. So
Good.
it was just my mobility.
So do you have any trouble with memory now at
No,
all?
no, no.
Good.
I do a lot of exercises online for my memory. Um, yeah,
What type of things do you do for that? Well, you
I
talked
do.
about the online.
I do crosswords. I do memory games. I do Sudoku. I just do a lot of things
Okay.
what got to make, challenge my brain basically.
So those are very good examples for your audience that
Mm.
are potentially dealing with those types of challenges as well. The games that you were just talking about, and you just find them, they're probably free games online. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I get all the free games online. I download them. I also, because I've lost my peripheral vision on my left side as well. So I do a lot of eye training. I wear an eye patch as well, so it forces my right eye to do, forces my left eye to do the work, and that is slowly returning.
Good.
So
That's good. So how do you feel like this has affected you? Like, has it affected you mentally at all?
yeah, it does. Yeah, definitely. I don't cry so much as I used to. I mean, those emotions used to just come on. I don't even know where they come from. I could be talking to someone, next minute I could be in tears. And we're not necessarily talking about stroke. I don't sit and, I don't spend my life talking about stroke. Um, but yeah, they just come from nowhere. Yeah, mentally it's a challenge. And I think most people who've had strokes would say that is the biggest challenge. Because if you
I
haven't got that
agree.
right attitude, basically you're stuck.
Yeah, and that's so true because
Mhm,
it's a journey that you're on, and
mhm.
it's a journey to get back to the best you that you can be,
Yeah,
or even a new you. You may not
yeah,
even ever get back to, and that's okay, right?
mm,
So you're just redefining your life again, is
yeah.
what I'm picking up from others.
Where you go from, I went from being, I wanted my normality back. You know, um, that was my normal, and that's what I wanted. Once I started accepting that the normality I had is not there anymore, then I was able to move forward. If that makes sense.
Yes.
On
Yes.
the instead of looking at things what I used to do and what I can't do, I stopped doing that because that's gone. I can't change it. It's gone.
Right, right. Yeah. And one thing I always say, I tell people is, you know, no matter what the past is, it doesn't define who you are.
No.
The pain, the suffering, the things that we go through in life, like it's in the past, but it doesn't define who we are today and what our character is, and the person
Mm.
that's inside is still there.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's
just,
right.
yeah,
I
just
went
redefining
I
life.
went through a lot of emotion of being. I felt ashamed of having the strokes. I don't know why. I felt, when if people knew about it, that's how they define you as a stroke survivor. And I did not want to be defined as a stroke survivor. I don't like the word. I don't know why. I'm still me. I still, I got my disabilities, but I'm still me. And I
Yes.
just find, some people do define you of a stroke.
Yeah.
And,
And I have seen that even,
mm,
with my own husband, and I think that it becomes a very much a life reality check because you find out who really is your friends,
yeah, yeah,
who really is your family that's sticking with you.
yeah. I mean, I have got a great family, they've been absolutely amazing.
That's great.
And
So,
yeah, sorry, go on.
no, you're fine. So talk about your support system. It sounds like your family is part of that.
Yeah, my family, yeah, are the biggest support network I got. I got a lot. I'm on a lot of stroke groups as well. I've just been accepted to a stroke volunteer. It's Bristol After Strokes, so I'll be a volunteer for them.
So talk about that. What is that?
So it's supporting people through stroke. So I've been through a stroke. I know what it's like, and sometimes I think that's the best people who can support the people going through it, because the ups and downs and the lows in the physical and the mental side of it.
Right.
So yeah, it'd be basically going out, meeting people, talking through, their emotions, hopefully giving them strategies of how to overcome certain emotions, and helping them move forward on it.
So is that something there in the UK that you're going to be doing?
Yeah, yeah.
And is it through like an organization or something?
Yes, they're called Bristol After Strokes. I mean, if you could Google it online, they're a charity-run association,
Wow.
and they're absolutely brilliant. And I really can't wait to start working with them.
Yes, that is wonderful because you're going to have a good, strong baseline
Mm.
to offer, things from what you've experienced. So,
Yeah, that's right.
wow, that's amazing. Good for you. That's
Yeah, so yeah, it just gives you
amazing.
that. I don't know about your husband, but I just found, when I had my strokes, I had no purpose. Whereas before I used to get up, go to work, getting up now, I don't need to rush to get ready, or I don't need to put a bit of makeup on if I don't need to. All right, we can do it. He makes us feel good, but we just lose all that purpose. You just feel you haven't got that anymore.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that to me is going to be a bit of a challenge, and I'm looking forward to it. I thrive on challenge, so
Yes. Is it a full-time type of
no,
thing?
it'll work out about 20 hours a week.
Good. That's
So,
still a good amount of hours to start
mm,
back into doing
yeah,
things in the community and with people.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good
and I'm really
that'll be
looking forward
great.
to it.
That's great, Lynn. Okay, so let's talk about, are you on any medications now?
Yes, I'm on a lot of pain. I'm on atorvastatin
Mm,
and clopidogrel. So I'm on they call it a secondary stroke prevention, because
okay.
I've had a few strokes. So yeah,
Any blood thinners?
yeah, the clopidogrel is
That one is the
a
blood
thing.
thinner.
Yeah,
I've never
yeah.
heard of that one. I don't know. I know sometimes there are medications in other countries that are used that we don't have here or in
I think
America.
it's like a generic, aren't they? In some places, they
Okay,
got different. It's the same medication but different names.
different names.
Yeah.
Okay. I know there was a medication for diabetes that my husband's endocrinologist had talked to him about getting, and I guess that it had been proven in other countries for about 5 or 6 years, but it was newer in the United States.
Oh right. Okay.
And I know for me, being a medical provider myself, I'm very cautious about medications that don't have the data and the research with it,
Yeah. Mm.
just because we don't know what's proven and what's not. And I don't want to take my husband's life to,
No, that's
get that data. Although it does, it is somewhere you have to gather data from somewhere, and you have to use people to do that. But I'm just really cautious on, new medications. So
Mm.
I always like to stick to the meds that are definitely proven, with the data.
Yeah, and I've done my research. Yeah, I research everything. um,
Yeah.
Even finding out, whether I can come off any of these medications, which obviously is not recommended. Um,
Yeah.
I've challenged my doctor on that, because how can you say I can't come off it when I haven't given any reason to why I had the strokes in the first place. When I'm on a cholesterol tablet, was my cholesterol that high? It was only 4.5. That is not overly high. They like it to be under 4. So it wasn't over, it wasn't really that high. I've got no problem with my heart. I've had all that tested. I've had the liquid and God knows what done. So, my heart's okay. So, why do they feel that I cannot come off any of these medications? So at the
And
moment I'm going through challenging that.
no high blood pressure.
No, I've never had that. I'm putting it down to stress, to be honest, when I was working, because I was in a very stressful job.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have heard of people having strokes because of stress. I don't know if there's typically an underlying lining component as well with that, but I mean, with your case, it doesn't seem as if there's anything.
Well, stress causes high blood pressure, doesn't it? So, I can't say, I've never had trouble with blood pressure, but maybe the stress had caused the
Right.
blood pressure.
Well,
So,
I had interviewed somebody one time, and they were talking about how they had oh goodness, what was it? They called it out some kind of a disease or something, that their arteries or their blood vessels wouldn't open up large enough
oh, right, okay.
for the blood to flow through.
Oh,
And so they were diagnosed with this, whatever it
yeah,
was, and they actually were on the blood thinner because of that, and would always be on the blood thinner.
yeah,
And they're in our private group. So I hope if they see this, maybe they'll comment and let us know what that's called, because
yeah,
that's the whole reason why I'm wanting to do these interviews and get to know different people's stories, which every person is so very different. And I love it,
yeah,
because I love people. But it connects our stories in a way that we can learn from each other, because
yeah,
again, there might be something going on with you that somebody else may be going through.
mm, yeah,
Um, and you may have answers for them, they may have answers for
for you.
you. And just watching the video could give you a solution to your problem, you
Yeah,
know?
you just don't know, do
You,
you?
you don't.
No.
So you not having an answer as to why you're continuing to have these strokes, I don't know. Maybe it could be something like that, where your
Yeah, you
veins
just don't
were,
know.
I don't know, but it's just a thought. Um, so there's just so many aspects to, I think, uh, the stroke life journey, and everybody's perspective. Um, so you don't take a whole lot of medication then?
No, I don't. No, I don't take an awful lot of medication. Like I said, it's just for prevention, really.
Sure.
Um,
Did you go through any rehab? Anything
yes,
like?
well, because we was in the pandemic, from the hospital, after a few weeks of being in the hospital, they sent me to a rehab centre, and then was told that I would be have to isolate in a room on my own. So I was really upset. That wasn't going to do my mental health any good. So I spoke with the manager there and said I want my rehab done at home, and my family then said they would do the rehab for me. And I honestly do believe to this day, if I didn't come home, I wouldn't be walking.
Really?
Mm.
So what type of things did you and your family do during your rehab time? I'm sure it's still ongoing even.
It was like my friend, she would massage on my affected side every day, every single day, a few times a day. She would massage it. Um, they would get me up, oh God, get me walking, like with assistance, it was just everything what the rehab centre said for me to do that I'd done at home. But I think what it was, it's different when you're in a rehab centre because you see it, that's their job. They're there to help you. I didn't see that with my children. That wasn't their job. I didn't want to burden them with me, to have to care for me. So I think I pushed myself even harder. So I got that sort of frame, that frame in my head. I decided, I don't want my kids looking after me. I've got to do this. And I know repetition, keep doing it. And yeah, eventually it paid off. I walk around now, I've got no limp. I don't use no aids. I'm not saying that works for everyone because it doesn't. I'm saying it worked for me. And
How long did it take you to get where you could walk by yourself independently?
About 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, about 3 months. Going up the stairs, that was a lot longer. I can't remember how long. Quite a few months. I think it was the more confidence of going outside on your own. And again, I don't know if it's to do with how I feel in myself. And I said to you, I didn't want people to know that I had strokes. So when my daughter said to me, we'd go to the store and do some shopping, I said, I can't walk round with sticks. Well, they would say, well, why not? They don't know. And I said, but I know. So once I was ready that I could walk outside without having to use a stick, then the confidence started building more. So the more confident I got, the more I would do on my own. The same as I love to have a bath. And I really do love that. And when the OTs came to assess my own to see what aids I would need, and they said that I would have to have an over seat to get into the bath, I said no, I'm not going to have it. And my daughter and my friend then started helping me in and out of the bath, and then we put a towel in the bottom of the bath so I wouldn't slip, to try to get myself up. And I just kept doing it until I did. And like I said, I'm not saying it'll work for everyone, but it just worked for me.
Well, I think one of the things that you hit on that's so important is that you have to have the right mindset.
Yeah, I
You
think you have.
do.
And it's very difficult when you're feeling very, very low to get that mindset because, negativity overpowers positivity. So, yeah, I think...
So did you deal with any type of depression at
Yeah,
all?
I had some counselling done for 6 weeks because I was very, very low. The first thing doctor, especially in the UK, want to give you is medication, antidepressants. I believe they mask the problem. They don't solve it. So I was fully against it. I'm not saying, some people got to have that. They can't manage without it. So I decided, no, I'm not going to take medication. So she offered me 6 weeks of counselling. And that was great. That was lovely. It was really nice. It was more person-centred, which I don't know if you find where you are. It's not very person-centred. Their protocol is for everyone, isn't it? It's not done on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah, and it's, and another thing, I don't know if you guys deal with it over there, but is our insurances right now, our insurance for the United States is just horrible.
We get it free here, see?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, we
that's
get
such a
it free.
blessing.
Yeah, we get everything we get free, see? So, it's a lot more easier here, I guess, than where you are.
Yes, it is, because even with, like my husband he went to the hospital, he was hospitalized, they medically stabilized him. He then went to rehab, and now he's home doing home health where the people come in and work with him in the house. But that's getting ready to end because insurance will only pay for a certain amount of visits
Mm.
for them to come. And yesterday my heart just broke for him because yesterday was his last day with his physical therapist, and he
That's such a
cried and cried and cried. And my husband was never emotional. And so for me to see him cry, he was always that strong man's man,
That's what stroke does to you, though.
yeah. And I'm
Mm.
hearing that more and more that, people become very emotional.
Mm. It's so
Then,
up and down.
yeah. And so like I said, my heart just broke and made me cry because he was crying. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm but it is unfortunate that it comes down to that a human's life comes down to a dollar sign,
I know. It's
you know,
so sad.
yeah, and money. It's terrible.
And
Um,
this is where I agree. If I don't know, do you have volunteers there?
not not really.
And that's a
That,
shame because that's
yeah.
where, the volunteers, people who've been through it can help people, especially in places where it has got to be paid for, where, they can have that time spent with these people. They could build up a relationship with people, and, they put a lot of trust in them, don't they?
Yes, very much so. And
Mm.
that's the way that my
Uh,
husband, he had such a great relationship with our physical therapist. And and now I have hired another lady that comes in and works with him twice a week, because even with home health, they only came in 2 times a week, and then they knocked the guy back down to 1 time a week. And
yeah,
so
not enough.
you can't get better like that.
No,
So
not
now
enough.
they're talking about doing outpatient rehab. So he'll go to a facility for, the rehabilitation, maybe 3 times a week if insurance covers it. And
So
it's
do they see a
crazy.
neurologist?
So right now, and that was going to be my next question to you.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. He doesn't see a neurologist right now. And so I always ask, individuals that have went through this challenge of the stroke, what team of doctors follow you? Is a neurologist somebody that should be seeing him?
So yeah, so over here we have like I said, you can search all this online. Um, it's a place called Next Steps.
I'm going to write it down.
Yeah, write it down because you might be
Spell
able to
it.
get tips off there. So it's called Next Steps.
Okay.
They're like a rehab center, but the neurologist works with you because, as you know, we're not. When we've had strokes, we're not physically damaged. It's our brains, so it all needs to be repaired and reel itself and find new pathways. So they work with you on like a repetition. So like if you've got, I'll do it on in here. So if you've got something, you can't move your hands. So, they get you to do this, say. So, it's trying to reprogram your brain to say this is what you should be doing, and it comes automatically. So yeah, we had 6 weeks of that. Very, very good. Going on to a balance board to whatever level you're at, So, there were people there in wheelchairs. So, he would work with like the top of the body, people who got, can't move their shoulders. Then he would work all the way down. And it was for 6 weeks. And then I'm waiting now to go to the next one, which is beginning of March. So yeah, he's absolutely amazing. Because I had trouble with spasms a few months after my stroke, and I spoke to him about it, and he said, he checked me over. He said, "You're not trouble with spasms." He said, your whole body is all knotty. So I'm going to refer you to have sport massage. So that's what I'm having done now.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, see, so they're very good, the neurologists. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Well, and I've had a few people, tell me that it would probably be a good idea for us to, get a neurologist. for my husband. Do you see any other type of doctors that follow you outside of neurologists or your
No,
family?
not only my own GP, which I don't see very often. I do my own blood pressure at home, but no, I don't see anyone else. No.
So
Um,
you said that you were dealing with skin cancer prior
yeah,
to the stroke.
yeah.
Were you seeing a doctor for that, or are you seeing a doctor?
No, that was all done over the phone because we was in the pandemic. So when I went, I had to take a photo of the skin cancer, send the photo to my GP. They sent it to the hospital. Then they contacted me to say that I need a biopsy, but they're 99% sure it's skin cancer. But without doing the biopsy, they're not sure which one it is. So lucky enough, I had the biopsy done. It's not the growing one, what grows inward, so it's not the most dangerous one, which is good. But
Oh,
nevertheless, when they remove it, I may have to have reconstruction done.
wow.
Yeah, so because it's on my face.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So is that going to be your next focus?
Uh, yeah. It's, I look at life as what's happened was meant to be. It happened for a reason. What reason? I don't know. Maybe it was to help others. Um, I don't worry about having another stroke. What's the point? I can't. I'm not going to stop it. By worrying about it, just ruin my day.
Yeah,
And that might sound a bit silly at times, but that's just how I look at life. Is life's too short.
it is. And do you feel like having the strokes have given you a new perspective on life?
I think it does. I think you do look at life differently. You tend to things you may have put off before your stroke because you always think you got a tomorrow. Well, tomorrow may never come. So what I can do today, I do. I don't think I'm going to do it tomorrow. I don't think I'm not going to be here tomorrow either, if that makes sense. I just think, no, if I could do it today, why don't I do it?
Yeah, why procrastinate? Do it
Yeah,
today.
yeah, just do it today.
Yeah.
So it does make you think differently. I think definitely.
How do you feel that it affected your children or your family? How did they take it when it all happened?
Oh my God, they were absolutely devastated because the day before I had my stroke, my youngest son, his friend's mum had a stroke, and she died, and she was a year older than me. So you can imagine, then their mum goes into a stroke. They were absolutely devastated. They were. 'Cause we're a very close family. Um, they
Wow.
take me to all my appointments. Um, no, they were. Yeah, it really did affect them.
So they're close by. They live nearby you.
Yeah, they all live in 15-minute drives. So, because I live I live on my own. So yeah.
That's good. So I heard you say that you're going to be doing some volunteer work, which is
Yeah.
really exciting.
Mm.
What did you work prior to the stroke?
Yeah, I was a manager worked in ran a site for people with mental health. Um, I've done a lot of courses on it. So I think I would be able to offer that. I got a lot of passion. I got a lot of empathy for people. Struggling with mental health. Um, so yeah. So
Wow.
I'm open. I can give some back.
Yeah. Now, is your job something that is kind of put on hold right now, or
I'm
is
just
that
going through. Well, I'm just going through all that at the moment because I've had a couple of occupational health assessments, which at the moment they don't recommend that I work full time. So I'm in meetings with my boss. Well, actually through email. Um, they're not really being very good. They're not willing to make no adjustments. So yesterday, do you have unions there?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I spoke with the union yesterday, and they advised me to speak with the Equality Act of 2010, who I spoke with because, people with strokes, they come under the Disability Act. So I've spoken to them. They sent me a letter that I need to fill out with bits of details on there about, how all this is affecting me, and send this to my boss now to make an grievance against them.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely something I would encourage you to do. I know
Yeah.
that we also have those same types of acts here in, the US for, protections for the, people that have disabilities. They have rights,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
yeah, and so we have regulations here that protect those rights.
Mm.
And, I don't know how it is in UK, but people with disabilities, I know I've been working in the field of people with
Yeah.
disabilities for almost 30 years. I've been in the field, and I own my own business now, and we go to our state's capital. I live in Kansas. We go to our state's capital, which is in Topeka, and we advocate every year for the rights of disabilities. We talk to legislators and senators, and we give them material, and we fight for their rights.
Yeah.
Here there's, monies that are allotted for people with disabilities, and they get that amount of money each month. And then we have agencies here in the US that give the services,
Yeah.
obviously, for the people with disabilities. But the funding and the money is never enough to give the quality of care that really needs to be given.
Yeah.
And so, it just kind of takes me back even to your situation with your rehab. It seems as if your rehab journey at home was 100% more quality than probably what you would have gotten at the rehab center.
Yeah, I believe it was. Because, my friend, she worked in care. So, she had a lot of experience as well. So, yeah, and I just feel, they're doing, my family and my friends was doing that because they loved me and they wanted me to get better. Whereas sometimes, I'm not saying everyone, because I've worked in care many years ago, that, there is many who does it because it's a job.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And I don't know about there, but here, we are just having issues with people working, period. They don't want to work because, they've, unfortunately, we have a society now that, they want something for nothing. And
And that's life, isn't it, I think.
yeah,
Mm.
so do you feel like this that the stroke has changed your spiritual journey at all, or were you even on a spiritual journey, or has that
Um,
affected any of that?
I mean, I am Catholic. I won't say I disbelieve, but I would say I probably believe more now since I've had my stroke than I did before. Um, so yeah, I suppose it is, on
Yeah,
that side. It has been a bit of a journey
yeah. I've heard
because
that from people before
yeah,
too.
I in my mind, I do believe it wasn't my time. Um, and for whatever reason, again, I'm here. Um,
Well, and
so
it sounds like, just from what you've shared, that honestly, it looks like it's almost the beginning of your journey, even into
mm,
what is next for your life,
yeah,
and I mean, just the volunteer, I think that is wonderful.
I think once you can get your mind to a place where you're not focusing on what was and how you are, um, you know, focus on what you can do, not what you can't. and the things you can't do will follow.
Yeah.
But again, that could be very, very difficult for a lot of people, to get their mindset like that.
So where
Very
do you see yourself, Lynn, in the next 2 years?
definitely, I will still carry on volunteering. That is, it was something I wanted to do before I had strokes. But I wanted to do it with people with drugs. I don't know why. It was just something I felt, again, on the mental health side of it. They got in that place for a reason.
Yeah.
So that was something I was really passionate about. But because I work full time, I live on my own, I was unable to put the hours anywhere. So yeah, the volunteer, I won't go back full time. It'll always be a part time. If I get to go back to work, it'd be part time, so I can concentrate on doing the voluntary work. I really, right now, I feel very passionate towards helping people, and if that is on the mental health side, which you don't get you don't get rehab for that.
No,
You
not at all.
don't. How emotionally your journey is. You do not get the help for that.
Yeah. And
And that is one thing you
and I
need.
think, I'm sorry, I think that too, sometimes people, like I said, prior to my husband's stroke, he was not an emotional person. He just wasn't. He was that strong man that didn't
Mhm.
cry.
Yeah,
And now I've seen him cry multiple times, and it just breaks my heart
yeah.
because I'm like, what's, really going on? What is he processing? What's really happening? Because this is a new husband for me that I'm getting to learn again. And, you know,
I don't think any of us can really sort of explain that emotional side of it. I find it really difficult to explain it because I don't know. I just know that when I was in that emotional place, um, like I said, I could be say talking to you. If a few months ago I was talking to you now, next minute I'd be in tears, and I
hmm,
don't know where that came from.
yeah.
But again, once I started to get stronger, that subsided. That emotional side of the tears, it subsided.
Huh. Yeah, it makes you wonder if it was part of the brain that was affected, maybe.
Yeah. Mm.
And I would think maybe so. And as it's healing, then it maybe changes it back to a normal state or what have you. I had interviewed somebody the other day, and she said that she was a lot nicer of a person than she was before. So I don't know. It just affects everybody so differently.
In different ways. I mean, like I said, I've always, I mean, for what, God, 20 years now, I've worked in healthcare. So I've always had that passion towards the elderly or, younger people, relevant to age. So I can't, my stroke not really affected me in that way. I still got that passion. I still want to be able to go out and help people. So yeah, it didn't affect me that way. Not at all. I don't think it really affected my personality.
Right. It doesn't seem as if it did.
No, I don't think it has.
Yeah,
I mean, I've
that's
always been quite, probably confidence wise, it has. I'm less confident now than I was before.
so
um,
how do you feel that you can get back to being that confident person? Because when I look at you and I'm talking to you, I see a very confident person. So it doesn't project,
again, it's
to
that
everybody.
presentation, isn't it? I mean, people, you look at me, you probably think, if you've seen me, never knew I had straight, you probably think you wouldn't know. you know,
Never.
you would never know, because obviously, a lot of us do present very well. Um, but it's the psychological side of it, isn't it? Again, like I said, the confidence side, I haven't driven. I am allowed to drive. I did go out in my car a few months ago. I was fine. I got out in the car. I drove over 30 miles. And all of a sudden it just stopped. my confidence just knocked me for six. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why.
Huh.
I'm not, I go out with my daughters in that when they drive, but for me to go out in my car and drive, no, I won't do it. And it's just something I tell myself every day. Well, what's
Is
going
it
to
anxiety? Do you feel anxiety?
No, I don't
Just the
necessarily feel
confidence.
anxious. I think again, I think it's not having that purpose to go anywhere. Is whereas before, I'd have to go to work, I'd get up and I'd drive to work. Whereas now, I don't need to go out in the car and drive anywhere.
Yeah.
It's cold anyway, so I think, well, I'd rather be at home. So when I do the voluntary work, I'd have to drive because I need to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess it will take, like you were talking about earlier, just repetition,
Yeah,
even if you just drive down the street and back,
and it is everything we do is repetition. But because I'm not pursuing that, I'm not doing it. I've stopped myself from doing it. So that's another, that's an obstacle I really want to get over.
Right. Which I'm sure that that you'll get there. I'm sure you will. How long did it take you before you decided to drive again?
That would have been, oh God. Probably a good 9 months.
Okay.
Yeah, quite a while. Yeah.
Okay. And was that just because you felt yourself you weren't ready, or were the doctors advising against?
I don't know. I didn't really think of it at the time. I just I didn't have anywhere to go. I wasn't. There was nowhere really I needed to go. So I didn't see the point in going out and just driving around then. And then my friend invited me down to hers, and I just got in the car and I drove down. And because I had this sensory overload, and I think that's where it started from. Um,
Do you take anything for that medication wise?
no, I don't want to take the medication. I've done some research on it. And you can get over it.
Have you looked at any type of all natural remedies
The
like any?
alternatives, yeah, I have been looking at that. Which yourself, if you speak to your doctors, they're not happy with you taking alternatives. And you have got to be careful what you take, to interfere with your medication.
Yeah.
No, I just been the way I've been doing it, because with sensory overload, if you've got too much going on. So like now my TV's still on over there. I don't turn it off. I don't cut out things, because I didn't do that before. When I had stroke, before I had stroke, I'd be on my phone doing my, browsing. I'd have the TV on in the background. So I try not to stop the things I used to do, because sometime my brain's going to reconnect. I know it is. I just feel confident it will. So if
Yeah.
I stop doing the things I used to do,
That takes away who you are.
yeah, when we stop speaking, I'm going to go on to the iPad. I'll start browsing again on the internet. The TV will be on, speaking away in the background.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try not to cut out anything. It's that's what we are. When we go out in a shop, it's very busy. I'm not going to be able to go to a shop and there's only going to be me there. So
That's
somehow my brain got like a GPS, isn't it? It's got a reprogram sometime or other.
right.
Hopefully.
That's true. And our
You can't
brains
just
are
plug
like,
us in.
right. And
So
our
yeah,
brains are like computers,
yeah,
they really are like computers. And sometimes, they have to re-download things and, you
yeah.
know, yeah. So, and, I just think that you are an amazing woman.
Thank
Um,
you.
I really do. Your story is so inspiring. And I really think the people, your audience that hears this, they're going to be encouraged. And, you know, what would you say that you have taken out of this whole experience with having the strokes? What would you think, what has taught you? What lesson, what life lesson?
Oh God, just not take life for granted. Enjoy. You know, it's a beautiful world out there. Beautiful people. Do you know what? I've met some lovely, lovely people on this journey of stroke. Yeah, some amazing people. Yeah, I'm lucky, really. All right. It wasn't nice having a stroke, but I've met some lovely people, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that. They've becoming good friends.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
that's
if
wonderful. Well, and I think even the person that referred you over to me is a
he's
amazing.
amazing,
Yes, I'm praying for the day I can interview him.
absolutely amazing. And if you do watch this, I'm on about
Yes.
because he is. Yeah, he got
Yeah,
me onto this. So absolutely amazing.
very much so. Well, one more thing, and then we'll kind of phase out of the
Okay.
interview. Um, Lynn, what would you say to the person that is experiencing? I have two questions. What would you say to the person that has experienced a stroke and they started their journey, say yesterday, or even today, or an hour ago? What would you say to them to encourage them?
Don't give up. There is always hope. Where there's a way, there's a will, or where there's a whatever way round it is.
A
But
will,
yeah,
there's a way.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, just don't give up because if you give up, there's no way forward.
that's right. What would you say to the caregivers that are walking that journey with the person that has had that stroke?
Just try to understand, you know, that person isn't the person they were before this. What they were when they were before they had the stroke. They are different. We are different. We've gone through a lot, but I also know the people who's actually the caregivers is a lot for them to actually see the people they love are not the people they were before.
Right.
But inside they are. But they're frustrated. They've got a lot of emotions going on. But that also goes for the person who's caring for them. It's hard for them. I don't know what's worse, being a stroke survivor or being the caregiver, if I'm honest. I really don't know what's worse.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of work, I think, on both parts. And
Yeah,
I think that, regardless if it's a mother and a daughter situation or
yeah,
scenario, or a husband and wife or friends or whatever, I think that love always prevails.
yeah, it does. It really does. Even the caregivers, don't be afraid to allow your emotions. Do you know what I mean? You've got them all pent up there. Do you know what I mean? Don't think, if you don't cry in front of us, you're going to make them feel bad because it doesn't. When my daughter, my family, they cried. We cried together.
Yeah, yeah.
You
And I've
know?
heard a lot of people say, well, they didn't want to cry in front of their, the person that had the stroke. I've cried in front of my husband, and I
Good.
probably will continue because I'm human and
You're
he's
going
human.
through it together. You're there to support each other.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
you've got to stick together. And you
Yes.
will get there. You will get there. You get to where you need to be. So your mind actually says, this is where I'm happy now. Whether you're walking, whether you're not, whether you've got your mobility, you will get, it's your mind what needs to get there.
Yeah.
And
For
that
sure.
you'll be in a
Yeah.
good place.
Yes. I agree. Well, Lynn, do you have any other closing remarks?
No, just all of you, just stay strong. You will get there. Beat this. Definitely.
Yeah.
We're all in it together. And that's the
Yes.
caregivers as well. Definitely. We can't do it without you lot.
Well, we couldn't do what we do without you guys either. So
Works both ways.
it does. It works both ways. And it's been an amazing journey for me, even. It's taught me things. It's made me appreciate my husband even the more and,
Mm.
love him even more. And it's been a lot, even just for me as far as my spiritual journey. I think I probably trust God more than I've ever trusted him before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just, because when you look at the whole picture, finances are affected, people's
Oh God, yeah.
their lives are just turned upside down. And I'm fortunate that we own a business. My husband was getting ready to launch a food truck business,
Oh, brilliant.
and that's all put on hold now.
It's
But
only on hold.
yes, only on hold.
Yeah,
So anyway, it affects a lot of things. So I think
it
if
does.
just having a forum like this where we can come together, we can talk, you know, um,
We can vent off, can't you? You can, if you need to cry, you can cry. And, is just where sometimes just let it all out.
yeah. And it's important, I feel, not to hold it in.
And
You
you're not
know?
being judged as well.
Yes.
That's very
And
important.
and that's what, with the Stroke Life Perspective group page, the support group page, I really want to create that safe place for people, that
Yeah,
are going through what they're going through, and that they feel safe there,
yeah,
and just having these interviews that people feel safe with me, just sharing their story and their journey to get it to others, to encourage them. That's the whole purpose of what I'm doing. And, I'm grateful for the opportunity. It's an honor for me to meet you. I would have never met you had this not
no,
happened.
that's right. That's why you're going to meet some amazing people.
Yes,
So,
very much so.
yeah.
And one of the things that you said, and then we'll go ahead and phase on out. One of the things that you had said was that, you said, why did this happen? How did, but then you also followed it up and said, maybe it was to help other people, to
Mm.
share, your story with other people. And I think that's a huge part of why you've endeavored, through the strokes that you have. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of
Thank
my.
you.
It was a pleasure to meet you, and I hope
Yeah, and you.
always stay in contact.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
For
Yeah, thank
sure.
you.
And maybe one day I can come visit you in the
You
UK.
never know. Come to
I would
England.
love to, because
I
I
can have
think
you all over.
yes, and because we were talking about tea houses, weren't we? Was it you?
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
So I have to come and have afternoon tea, and we'll just talk and have a good time.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for your time.
And yours.
The best to you on the rest of your journey.
And your husband as well.
Thank you so much. And,
I wish
just
him well.
thank you. He'll be watching this at some point.
And and tell him to stay positive.
Yes, yes. He needs to hear that.
Yeah,
He does.
there's always hope.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Lynn.
Right,
Well, thank
thank
you
you.
again. And I will go ahead and phase us out, and you take care of
And
yourself.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.